toss seems to have been delayed in the India-South Africa match in Lucknow because of smog. Indian player Hardik Pandya, seen wearing a mask. The toss, originally scheduled to take place at 6:30 p.m., has now been delayed. The inspection will take place at 7:30 p.m. Embarrassing where India is concerned. Lucknow was supposed to be the destination for India-South Africa match, and now it seems because of smog, which is a heavy-duty layer, because it's winters right now. What you see on your television screens is Hardik Pandya, who's come out onto the cricketing pitch with a mask. The next inspection will take place at 7:30 p.m. The reason for the delay in the toss is because there is smog. I want to cut across to my colleague Nikhil Nas, who's joining us for more. Nikhil, it's pretty much be a first where smog is the reason for the delay of toss. 7:30 is going to be another inspection. What are you hearing?
Preeti, I would have been happier had it been the first time that something like this has happened. Unfortunately, not, because my memory goes back to a few years ago, right here in Delhi, at the Arun Jaitley Stadium. You had an India-Sri Lanka game where that game was called off because of pollution. You had a scenario where Sri Lankan players complained of nausea. They complained of their eyes burning. And that was quite an embarrassment for India, that a game had to be called off because of poor air. This game seems to be going down that road, even though we've not had the visiting team, the South African team, complaining about the AQI. But I've just done a quick check of the AQI levels in Lucknow, and they're hovering around the 500 mark, which is hazardous. The word that we've got, the official word that we've got from the BCCI, that the toss has been delayed because of fog, but that's a terminology that's often used and which is sometimes misrepresented, because in north of India at this time of the year, you seldom get fog, you get smog, which is a mixture of course, smoke as well as fog. So it is smog that has caused the toss to be delayed. It's already delayed by 1 hour, but looking at how things really pan out, if they expect things to really clear out and the match to go ahead, I doubt that's going to happen. Things might only get worse as the temperature dips even further into the night. So seems unlikely that this game will carry on. But that image that you were just talking about, Preeti, of a Hardik Pandya, an Indian player wearing a mask and walking around, I think that is going to be spread across social media, across mainstream media, and that will, of course, bring in a lot of embarrassment to India per se.
You know, Nikhil, sometimes I do feel embarrassment is necessary, because what we have been debating over time is the sheer fact that it's only Delhi that suffers from pollution. What we are witnessing is going to be international embarrassment in Lucknow, and hopefully this will be the perfect storm that we needed for the issue, for a pressing health emergency to actually be addressed, where now there is smog, which is, as Nikhil also pointed out, it's smoke, it's pollution, it's a bit of fog because temperatures are low where Lucknow is concerned. I'm just looking at the AQI level in Lucknow, and Nikhil was bang on, it's over 500. At least the AQI meters in Lucknow are working properly, because in Delhi, most of them aren't. But hugely embarrassing, Nikhil. But maybe that's the silver lining that India needed, that we need to address this health emergency at the earliest. Maybe a bit of international embarrassment is what it will take.
Well, I would hope so, and that's me being very optimistic, Preeti. And I thought that the embarrassment that we had about 4 or 5 years ago in that incident that I speak about of the Sri Lankan team, that happened right here in the heart of the capital at the Firozshah Kotla. That game was called off because of poor air, and here you had a team that comes from a neighboring country. It wasn't even a European team or a team that's come from Australia, New Zealand. That are used to much cleaner air. We had a neighboring country like Sri Lanka also, players coming from there and saying that, listen, the air is unbearable at the moment.
Okay.
They actually complained.
Nikhil, will you stay on with me? I'm going to just, I'm cutting you short, but, the reason I'm doing so is because I'm going to bring in my colleague Samarth Srivastav, who's joining us from the cricketing stadium. Samarth, I'm looking at the AQI levels where Lucknow is concerned, and, more or less, it seems to be hovering about 500 or so. But what are you picking up? Is this match going to take place at all? Because 7:30 is going to be a new round of inspection. But, as the day progresses, the smog will only get thicker and hang lower.
Preeti, you're right. It seems tough for the match tonight because we know that when the time will move on, we'll see the fog getting tougher with this particular time. It's not just about the fog; it's also about the smog. If you check the AQI level, that the number AQI, it's also high in Lucknow as well, and that's also the reason we see Hardik Pandya wearing that particular mask in the visuals. We can clearly see shared by the broadcasters. But a bigger picture out here is the fog situation. Current temperature is around 14, 15 degree in Lucknow. But if you talk about the later hours, you will see in the wee hours the temperature will dip down and that will exceed the fog. We saw how two major accidents happened yesterday
Right.
around the expressway, one at the Purvanchal and one at the Agra expressway. So
Samarth,
it's
can you
going to be
tell us?
tough
I
for
want
the
to
match.
bring in, you're right there. So, the fog is hanging low and it's smog there because the pollution levels are very high. Nikhil's also with us, Samarth. But what are you picking up? And Nikhil, if you have an idea, who raised the issue of smog? Is there, when a cricket match happens, is there a particular level that the air quality needs to be at? How has this decision been taken? Have the teams complained? Nikhil, do you have a word in on that?
Yes, we do, Preeti, and that's not something that's going to be music to our ears because they actually did not take into consideration the air quality level. The reason that the toss was delayed was because of visibility. Now, this is where the umpires come in. As soon as they walk onto the field and they feel that the visibility levels are low, because remember, it's not just about the batters trying to spot the ball that comes out of the
Right.
bowler's hand, and that's just coming from 22 yards. That's still possible, but there are going to be fielders in the deep, and they will struggle to pick the ball. So this is again, part of the SOPs of cricket. As soon as the visibility dips, they've decided to push the toss back, with some time. But
Okay.
I think what we're trying to do is go to the crux of the matter. That why is the visibility low? It's not just fog; it's smog. And then you see pictures of a Hardik Pandya walking around. I mean, in a situation like this, Preeti, as you know,
Right.
once it goes past 200, 300, you're not even advised to step out of your house. If the game does go on, would it be prudent to have athletes playing a sport? Imagine the kind of harm that it'll do to athletes playing sport with an AQI in upwards of 500. And these are international athletes. Should
Right.
you be risking them, getting them to play in such AQI? I think that's a bad idea.